deadline that President Trump has set, 8 p.m., has threatened to destroy a civilization. How does an investor process that? Is it a bigger upside risk or downside risk?
How does an investor process that? That just lets you know. Like, it's all numbers. It's all statistics. It's just numbers. It's not human decency. It's not, humanity. Like, it's none of that. None of it. How do you process your dollars and cents? What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Trey.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Back at it with another video.
Another one.
First and foremost, want to say thanks to everybody that's been subscribing. Obviously, I'm a new YouTuber, so it really means a lot. It helps me get out there. And thank y'all for everybody that's been commenting. It helps me to, obviously us to get engaged. Y'all learn a little bit more about me. And it helps me to know what y'all are liking and what y'all are not liking about the content. With that being said, today we're going to be reacting to somebody new for me. The Rational National came across their video about this fire in the warehouse recently, or last week. And the way they put together the video, and one of the things they brought up, kind of going over what's a livable wage, what the average salary is for the average middle class person, I thought was an interesting take. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into the video and have at it.
Tonight, new video on social media has surfaced of what appears to be inside a warehouse as someone is going around the room starting several fires while talking about their salary.
All you had to do was pay us enough to live.
I came across this local story from Ontario, California that I think should actually be a national story because it could give us a little hint as to where things may go if we continue down this path of unaffordability, low wages, and the rising cost of living. So this is a man that set fire to his warehouse, a warehouse worker, of toilet paper as he complained about how he was not paid enough to live. So I'm going to first play for you the raw footage here. This is shared from Raw's Alerts of the fire alongside him setting fire to his warehouse. And then I'll get to the local news report discussing it as well. And I'm going to get to some of the reactions to this news story, which reminded me a lot of the reaction to Luigi Mangione.
Should have paid us enough to fucking live.
So here, you obviously see the left is the, him setting the fire and all that stuff. And I guess the right is the after. So it's the result of, the fires.
We may not get paid enough to fucking live, but these bitches dirt cheap. All you had to do was pay us enough to live. All you had to do was pay us enough to fucking live.
So real quick, obviously I don't condone anything like this, but I get being at your limit. I wouldn't condone, damaging property and things of that nature. Me personally, I just get in the lab. I try and figure out a hustle. I try and figure out a way to grind and make something happen. But I get this. I get this. Like, we all see it, right? We see this. We've lived it. We've had to struggle. We've had to eat the ramen noodles. What is it? Finesse 2 times. Noodles, no packet. The powder Merc.
I ate noodles with no packet. Cereal with the canned Merc. The powder Merc. No Merc. Waffles. No syrup. Jelly. No jelly. Nothing. Oatmeal. No sugar. Oatmeal. No sugar. Nothing.
Whatever. Anyway. I've had to struggle at times because, we didn't have a lot to spare. I've been paycheck to paycheck. You know what I'm saying? I can't afford to miss too many paychecks now, you know what I'm saying? Talking in reference to TSA workers and things of that nature. So I get feeling like I can empathize with feeling like this. I wouldn't go this far, but I understand where Buddy coming from, and I get it.
All you had to do was pay us enough to live.
All right, so First, it's important to note that nobody was hurt, thankfully, and the fire appeared to just be contained to the warehouse itself. I'll get to more details from the local news report from NBC LA that covered this as well. But look, this is the kind of thing that I don't want to predict is going to happen more, but the conditions are ripe for people to essentially snap and lash back at their employers for how they're being treated. We are in a situation where people can see that the wealthy are getting wealthier, that during the pandemic, billionaires quadrupled their wealth, and I'll get to more data on that in a minute here, while everybody else lost out. And
one thing they don't, obviously they're going to get into like specifics of it, but people, the poorest of people, right? Especially conservatives, Republicans, have this hope still to this day. They still hold this hope that trickle down economics is still going to somehow trickle down to us in this day and age. With no matter everything that we've seen to the contrary, they still believe that you have to take care of the billionaires in order for us to eventually come up. Hey, man, when do y'all think it's going to actually happen? Do y'all still hope for that? Do you still think that the billionaires are going to share with us? Like, have they given us any? What was the last sign that you got yourself that, the billionaire, the trickle down economy was working in our benefit?
if you continue not addressing the needs of the vast majority of people, the working class, people are going to begin to lash out like this. It should be a warning to those in power, politicians and the billionaires that control them. Things are only going to get worse, not because they should get worse in terms of the reactions like this, fires or whatever it is, but because of just the reality on the ground of what people are feeling and how you are setting people up to snap and react in a way that is ultimately not going to be beneficial to you if you continue propping up this system that is broken in favor of yourselves. Here is the NBC LA report on this.
Tonight, new video on social media has surfaced of what appears to be inside a warehouse as someone is going around the room starting several fires while talking about their salary.
All you had to do was pay us enough to live.
I don't know. I don't know what's going through his head, man.
We caught up with Alex Montero on Wednesday, who says he was working the night this Kimberly-Clark warehouse along Hellman in Ontario caught fire. Montero is stunned to see this video because this person, he says, is his fellow coworker, Shamil Abdul Karim.
There goes your inventory.
I had just got done talking to him. He had just came over and helped me out with my truck. I was 5 doors down from him.
Fire officials say the fire started on Tuesday just after midnight and quickly grew because of the large amount of paper products inside the warehouse that fueled the flames.
All right. So I know, well, fuck it. I'll tell y'all my answer. I'm not assuming that this dude, I think, with the guy recording and potentially posting it, you know what I'm saying? They were able to identify him based on his voice, based on he was supposed to be at work and things of that nature. So I'm not saying that this dude did, but I do have a question to pose. Y'all let me know in the comments. In his situation, right? Are you snitching? Like, say for instance, the dude was smart enough to take the video and put a filter on the voice or something like that, like kind of, and yeah, so you couldn't tell who it was, you know what I'm saying? They leaked it anonymously, whatever. Would you tell? Would you, if you knew who was working that night, to be able to point the police in the right direction, based on what was being said? Like, do you tell in that kind of situation? That's all I'm trying to get at. Like, if there is a little bit of anonymity still there, like the police or whatever authorities, they don't have the person, they can't identify the person. Do you help the police to find that person that does this? Y'all let me know.
They called break and I went outside, was sitting in.
Oh, by the way, me, hell no. I definitely don't. I'm just curious what everybody else is at.
My car, and not even 10 minutes go by and I heard the alarm.
It took crews several hours to get the fire under control, even using drones to extinguish the hot spots after all 20 employees inside were evacuated. Moments later, Ontario police arrested Abdul Karim for arson. And tonight, Kimberly-Clark says the distribution center was operated by a third-party logistic partner, NFI Industries, and added that a response team has been activated to help relocate impacted workers and minimize customer and consumer impact.
How long have you been working there with the company?
About 3 weeks. Yeah, just started making good money, dude. You know, they called us hoping to relocate us to another warehouse. You know, but if anyone else is hiring, you know.
All right, so I'm gonna get to some reactions.
Hey, buddy, like, hey, bro, y'all need a driver. Hit me up. I'm gonna put my my contact info. Hey, can y'all put it on the lower thirds? Cause you know.
To this news, which again reminded me a bit of the reaction to Luigi Mangione. But that employer there, his coworker, says he was making good money. Sounds like he was a truck driver. He was the one that was unloading the truck. So I did do a little search. This is from Glassdoor. So again, these are estimates, averages here. But we can guess that the warehouse worker was maybe making around 37K to 46K, while the truck driver was making 60K to 88K. So there's a really good breakdown here. This is FM Smith 319.
So this part is where I want to have the conversation with y'all, and what I thought was the most interesting part of the video. Let's get into it.
On TikTok. This is from a year ago.
It's not the overspending, it's the cost of living. Here is a breakdown of the average Gen Z and millennials' cost of living in today's world. So number one is rent. Everyone knows that Gen Z and millennials have to have a roommate. So splitting a 2-bedroom apartment with utilities is around $1,500. If you have a car, a $12,000 to $15,000 used car is still going to run you $400 a month. Car insurance and gas is another $300. Student loan payment, $500. You're going to have groceries for $500. You're going to have personal care, doctor's appointments, hair, gym, about $150, and then cell phone and miscellaneous $150. That's $3,500 a month, which is baseline. Do you know how much $3,500 a month is? $70,000 a year, or $34 an hour. Because after you take out taxes, put $300 for health insurance, and do a healthy $500 401k contribution, that leaves you with $3,500. This is no fun, no savings, no maintenance, no clothes, no kids, no traveling, no vacations, no bachelor parties, no weddings, no funerals, no clothes, no school supplies, nothing.
Nothing.
And this is paycheck to paycheck. And on top of it, they're holding $40,000 of student loan debt, a $15,000 car, and if they ever wanted to buy a house with closing costs and a down payment's another $50,000. So they need $105,000.
So let's talk about it for right here for just a split second. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to. We could talk about this portion of it and interject all kind of different hypotheticals and stuff like this to even the way he's painted it out, which I think is very accurate. You know what I'm saying? But I think, yes, he's right that that's no fun. 3,500 to 4,000. That's no fun whatsoever. What human being operates off of that? Like, they're not doing no fun whatsoever. So now, in order for you to get that fun, now what you got to do, he's talking about debt. He's talking about student loan. He's talking about car. He's talking about home. If you bought a home, right? Yeah. What about your credit? Come on now. Everybody got credit card, probably more than one, or some sort of line of credit with all these different stores and what have you. You know what I'm saying? So you've got some sort of credit. You know what I'm saying? It might not be that much, you know what I'm saying? But you've got some sort of credit. So you got to account for that. That's definitely going in here. The home, he said 50K. Anybody that's bought a home recently or looking at buying a home, unless you're looking at getting a studio, like a 1-bedroom, and I don't even know if that's accurate for one. But yeah, 50K is not realistic in today's economy, right? 15K for the car if you're getting a beater, whatever. So all I'm saying is, all of us know, y'all take your own situation and y'all change out and do the math however you want to. And you know that even based off of the situation he's talking about is like, damn, this is fucked up. but you know that your situation is worse than this. You know it is. You know it is. If y'all got any kids whatsoever, your situation, fucking the dire straits that you're in is even worse. Any sort of dependence, any sort of people with health issues that whatever. Like, and I'll end it there. But I think it's important that he laid it out this way so everybody can kind of take a look at it. But yeah, once I seen this, I was like, yeah, now this is a good layout, but this ain't even, that's not even a number. That's not even an accurate number. And that's still rough. That's still rough. And that's not even an accurate number. So y'all let me know in the comments what you think. Like, based on today's economy, do y'all think that's an accurate number? Is that something that you could live off of? Me, one person, maybe, right? I haven't been, looking out for just one person in a long time. So I might be coming from that mindset. I have a wife and 3 kids. So, y'all take that for what it is.
Even if they were somehow able to scrounge up after $70,000 of paycheck to paycheck, $5,000 to go to a concert, to have avocado toast, whatever it is, $5,000 a year, it would take them 20 years to pay off this debt and save up for a house. 20 years of living with the roommate where that rent's going up, and they're making $70,000 a year as a college graduate. The average person in this country makes $50,000. It is not the overspending. It is a cost of living crisis.
And that was a year ago. Things have only gotten more unaffordable since then. I think a lot of people who are well off truly don't understand that a lot of people who are poor or homeless have jobs, but they simply can't afford to live. Meanwhile, you take a look at the average CEO
or have kids, right? Or have kids. I'm telling you, like, once you start to add in kids and then everybody wants to get a job. And sometimes, like, if you really think about it, like, for the mothers and or fathers, right? For parents and they both want to work. Like, if your job, like if you're making $50K a year, it's probably not in your best interest to get the second job because you're going to spend most of that on childcare and school and like, I'm just saying it's rough. It's rough out here. For us that are not at the top 1%.
pay compared to the typical worker. This is from the Economic Policy Institute. CEOs paid 281 times as much as typical workers. And look how that number has increased since the 1980s, when
they not like
neoliberalism really took hold. The idea of, or the fact that corporations and the wealthy really began to get involved in politics and push their own people. You see that explosion in the 90s, and it just continued. So you have, this is just income, by the way. We're not even talking about wealth, which is a whole other conversation. But this is why you have reactions. Not like this. This is actually, I want to share this because this goes to the focus on the wealthy. Meanwhile, everything else is insane. This is a great, as Nick Bryant writes, how can satire compete with this?
This deadline that President Trump has set, 8 p.m., has threatened to destroy a civilization. How does an investor process that? Is it a bigger upside risk or downside risk?
How does an investor process that? That just lets you know. Like, it's all numbers. It's all statistics. It's just numbers. It's not human decency. It's not, humanity. Like, it's none of that. None of it. How do you process your dollars and cents?
Yes, the big question on everybody's mind when Trump threatened to annihilate an entire civilization was, how do investors process this? CNBC is insane, but it's a window into how American politics operates. There is so much focus from general media on the interests of the extreme wealthy, the top 10%, which hold the vast majority of investments. There is so much focus on that and so little focus on everybody else. Is there a CNBC for the working class? Is there a network where they're talking about the interests of the workers and the need to push back against the interests of the wealthy and their employers? No, of course not. Because why would capitalists invest into a network for the working class? They wouldn't. But it shows you how backwards society is when there is so much focus on those at the very, very top of society and so little focus on everybody else. I wasn't surprised by a lot of the replies to this news story. Here is a few that I'll share with you. Quoting JFK here, "Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable. No excuse for arson, but if someone risks prison just to be heard, something is already broken." This is a quote from Karl Marx in the Civil War in France, 1871, saying the bourgeoisie of the whole world, which looks complacently upon wholesale massacre, is convulsed by horror at the desecration of brick and mortar. Listen, I know this is bad, but historically speaking, this has always been the alarm bell. When a society's downtrodden get trampled on and feel like they're drowning, they get angry and violent. This country was literally founded on the concept, pursuit of happiness is fading. Speaking to the...
And before he moves past that one too far, the only reason why we are not seeing more of that is because our society has done such a good job of putting us against each other, right? So instead of us being united against the wealthy, the Epstein class or whatever, instead of us being united, we're arguing over bullshit. Like, we're arguing over immigration, we're arguing over trans, we're arguing over I don't know, man, like all these things that are keeping us pitted against each other, the left versus the right, Democrats versus Republican, religion versus LGBTQ, black versus white, documented versus undocumented, like all these different little social groups and minority groups, or just pockets where we can just separate ourselves even further. We are so at each other's throats at the bottom that the people at the top are just raking in all the money. Like, oh, how do the markets respond to this? Like, just raking in all the money. Meanwhile, we're fucking going through. We're ready. Like, people are ready to go to war over, Charlie Kirk, whatever. What Charlie Kirk says, what happened to him, what Donald Trump tweets and who he blames, like things of that nature. We're so charged up because of our everyday life and struggles that we are ready to be so aggressive towards who we've been told is our enemy that we're not even really organized in a way to really go after the people that are oppressing us.
Boston Tea Party, which at the time, of course, were viewed as terrorists. These are people who damaged 340 chests of tea, which amounted to over $1,700,000 in today's numbers. So, and this was the start of the revolution, pushing back against the British monarchy. And how do we process the news today of somebody burning down a warehouse? It's important to note to not encourage that kind of act, because it is a violent act. It will send you to prison. But it's also, looking at this historically, what this individual did is not completely out of line with what people were doing and feeling back during the American Revolution. So we have to be able to just view this from the perspective of the conditions on the ground. So remove the individual acts. When you look at the conditions on the ground, the conditions are ripe for people to begin acting out when things were already bad before. And now Trump and his ridiculous politics have only made things a hell of a lot worse for everybody. A couple last things here. This reaction: arson is not okay. However, when the system makes it impossible for someone to make enough money to live, and said people are willing to go to jail to send a message and have nothing to live for, we will see more of this. And worth taking a look at the gap between productivity and typical workers' compensation since 1979. Productivity has increased while compensation has almost flatlined. Meanwhile, here's the graph. The wealth of the top 12 U.S. billionaires has soared. So this is just the pandemic. Since the pandemic, every single billionaire has increased their wealth massively. So as Inequality.org writes, as of January 1st, 2026, the collective net worth of America's top 12 billionaires now surpasses $2.7 trillion. Their combined wealth has more than quadrupled from $608 billion on March 18th, 2020.
They have more like net worth than countries do. Like when a person has more, net worth than fucking countries do, I'm sorry, man. I want to get ahead just like everybody else, but that's insane.
20. Meanwhile, did your wealth quadruple since the pandemic? I'm going to guess no. So when people see this, they feel a certain way, which is why this needs to be addressed in a peaceful, political manner. It needs to be addressed through policy where we are actually listening to and addressing the needs of the vast majority of people and ensuring we don't get to a place where acts like this continue because of those conditions on the ground. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe and check out some of the other videos I have on this channel.
So that's the Rational National. Y'all make sure go over there and check out his content. Like I said, this is somebody new for me, so I'm gonna keep an eye on him. I really appreciate how he put together the video, and like I said, that economic breakdown was clutch. Like it's if we were at a place to where we were all together in the way that we feel and the struggle that we're all going through, because so many of us are going through the same struggle. We're just not together. Everybody's out for themselves and everybody's against each other right now. We just got to find a way to heal before we can get to that point. And it's a problem because it's a Democrat and Republican problem, right? So it's not just, we get these Democrats in there and they'll do so much more. Like, no, they're bought and paid for too. So they just help the Epstein class, the billionaire class as well. But that's going to be it for this one. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. If y'all learned anything from this one, make sure y'all share it with your people. Keep the conversation going. Keep the information flowing. And yeah, man, until next time, I'll holla at you.
I don't think you wanna be my enemy. I pop out, they go wild, so celebrity. Too busy winning, I forget.